Big boy. Ana kasura cha upole, miaka nenda rudi azeeki, tena ni mtu wa jimjim, shepu ndo linanipa wazimzim, na tatu ni mchoe, ila ndo hilo tena pendeki. Ama kweli mapenzi hayana mwalimu, wengine hata kuniona ni adimu. Hivi tuseme anangekewa, ama nyota yake ananizidi, ama mjini nimechelewa, ona wengine wanamponda na mwita bibi. Ilianza kumuona mapema enzi za mabanda ya sinema.
Yes, what's up, wonderful people? Thank you so much for joining us on the Sunday classes. I do hope that you're having a wonderful weekend. And of course, I do hope that you're doing wonderful with you and yours. Being on a weekend, I know that people get pretty much busy. So I'm not sure whether you will actually just into class or you're going about your errands. But nonetheless, whatever you might be doing, I just want to welcome you so much to our classes for the weekend. And my name is Spikes, and on every other weekend, on Saturdays and on Sundays, we get together right here on this particular platform, and we come together to learn Swahili as a family. Some people might have asked, why is it that you have chosen Swahili as opposed to many other African languages? I do believe it's because Swahili is becoming more prolific, and we have seen it being adopted by different countries on the continent. Recently, Somalia did embrace Swahili, and it was introduced into its national education curriculum. And apart from that, we also do have countries such as Burundi, Rwanda, which form the East African community. Burundi, Rwanda, the DRC, Kenya, Uganda, as well as Tanzania. These countries have actually adopted Swahili as a national language. So if you're conducting business, maybe perhaps in Tanzania, the official language is Swahili. If you're conducting business, maybe perhaps in Kenya, we do have the national language being Swahili. And we have seen it also being embraced by Southern African Development Corporation, which also encompasses countries such as Zimbabwe and also countries such as Southern African countries. So welcome so much to this particular forum. And if you do have a question, feel free to ask. In our language, we do say karibuni sana or karibu sana. And karibu sana simply means you are most welcome. You are most welcome. And feel free to interject at any point. You can ask a question. We do say unaweza uliza swali. You can ask a question. The jam or the song that I just played you, it's known as Mtaja. And Taja simply just comes from the name Taja. Taja is T-A-J-A. Taja means to mention, to mention, to mention. So someone says, Taja mtu, Taja mtu. Taja mtu simply means mention someone. Mention someone. And this is an mention someone. That would be Taja mtu, Taja mtu. So on this particular song, Harmonize, who is a big Tanzanian East African artist from Tanzania. Harmonize is big on writing love songs, and on this particular one, he's talking about the loved one, the love of his life, and he's talking about mention them, just mention them or say their name, mention them or say their name, and that is the name of the song is known as Mtaje, which means mention them or say their name. So welcome to class. First things first, remember we do have 5 vowels in Swahili. And Swahili is a beautiful African language, and it has syllables with alternating vowel sounds. So for example, if you're talking about the most obvious example that I love to give, which is kitabu, ki, ta, bu. Kitabu simply means a book. Kitabu simply means a book. Kitabu simply means a book. Excuse me, it means a book, but you do have, you note that it has 3 syllables, the ki, the ta, and the bu. So you do realize that many Swahili words, they do have syllables with alternating vowel sounds. So this syllable is a syllable ki, a syllable ta, a syllable bu, which makes up the word kitabu, kitabu. If you to give another simple example of a stick, you might say ki, g, t, kijiti. This is simply means a stick. It means a stick. And you will also realize that it has 3 syllables. And this is syllable ki, the syllable g, and the syllable t. So you find it has those 3 syllables, and they do have different, they do have the same vowels, which is E for all of them. E, ki, for that is E for ki, E for G, and E for T. Those are the 3 syllables right there. And apart from that, I can give one last example, which is kalamu, ka, la, kalamu, which means kalamu, which means a pen. It means a pen. It means a pen or a pencil. It means a pen or a pencil. And therefore, if you're talking about kalamu yangu, you might talk about my pencil. If you're talking about my pencil, you would say kalamu yangu nyekundu, kalamu yangu nyekundu. We do have the colors in Swahili. I would be let me just touch on those particular colors. If I do say kalamu yangu nyekundu, it means my pen, which is my red pen, So red, we do say that as nyekundu. If you're talking about a red pen, you would say kalamu yangu, my pen, my red pen, kalamu yangu nyekundu, my pen which is red. If you're talking about like a color like blue, my blue pen, you would say samawati, samawati. Samawati simply means blue. So if you're talking about my blue pen or my pen that's blue, you would talk about kalamu yangu ya samawati. Kalamu yangu ya samawati. If you're talking about yellow, you would say majano. Yellow, you would say majano. So if you're talking about green, you would say kijani kibichi. Kijani kibichi. That is for green. If you're talking about black, you would say nyeusi. Black, you would say nyeusi. That is for black. If you're talking about white, you would say nyeupe. Nyeupe for white. Nyeupe. That is for white. Nyeupe is for white. But you also have to realize that when you're talking about colors, sometimes you realize that we do have also like things like brown. We do have things like violet. We do have things like indigo. But when it comes to the few examples that I would like to share for us today, I wanted to give these few examples of the few colors that are quite popular. And those are the colors that we are talking about right here. So welcome so much to the class. Remember, if you have a question at any point, you can interject and ask a question. We do say in Swahili, uliza swali. This is a phrase which means ask a question. Swali in Swahili is known as a question. So we say ask a question. And if you're talking about an answer, the opposite of a question, an answer, you simply would say jibu, J-I-B-U. Jibu means an answer. And the thing is, jibu is both a noun and it's a verb. It's both a noun and it's a verb because jibu is the action of answering a question. If I do say jibu swali langu, it means answer my question. But if I'm talking about nipe jibu, nipe means give me. But when I say nipe jibu, I do say give me an answer. So jibu is both a noun. It's both a noun and a verb. It's both a noun and a verb. It means an answer. It also means to answer. Jibu means to answer in that particular regard. So yes, if you have any question at any point, feel free to interject and I will be more than glad to answer your question because I want to have an engaging segment, a segment where you can ask a question and I can respond to your question. and therefore we are able to move very, very well together without any problem. If you have a question, please feel free to ask. You can ask any question, and I will be more than glad to answer to your question. If not, I think we might take a break and just get to listen to more of that particular song. It's known as Mtaje, but I'm trying to see if I can get Mtaje lyrics, because when you're watching, when you sing the lyrics, it becomes much more easy, and you're able to understand the language much better, because there are many platforms that you can get to use, including music with lyrics, So this is a song, and it's known as Mtaje.
Miaka nenda rudi azeeki, tena ni mtu wa jimjim, shepu ndo linanipa wazimzim, na tatu ni mchore, ila ndo hilo tena pendeki. Ama kweli mapenzi hayana mwalimu, wengine hata kuniona ni adimu. Hivi tuseme anangekewa, ama nyota yake kali ananizidi, ama mjini nimechelewa, ona wengine wanamponda na mwita bibi. Ilianza kumuona mapema za mabanda ya sinema, alikuwa gani rafiki na wema. She's so cute, acha wanione mshamba tu, tutawezi kulipigia honi. Umli naoni na mtu, kinacho nyuma najifanya aoni. Kama unamjua Mtaje, nani anemjua Mtaje? Kama unamjua Mtaje, avipe kichwa akisifie. Basi kama unamjua Mtaje, kama unamjua kama unamjua Mtaje, amepekitwa akisifie. Anaelenga kwa rula siku zote twapatae. Mwambieni mwanangu pula, ninampenda mamae, tena ni fundi wa kuchanua. Utasema samaki ngonda, hapo ndo nikagundua. Kinikiliwaliza makonda, wadala dala dala, mina shiba kulala la 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 la. Namba dala dala dala, anaitwa hakika yendo kiboko yangu, jua likiwaka ikinyesha. Ona mjeshi wangu getini kwake nilikesha. Mtihani wa mapenzi kuna aliyefuzu, sawa na unywe pombe na useme una uzu, na mtu kisha penda unakuwa zuzu, eti nawazaje kuwa mama zuzu. Kama unamjua Mtaje, kama unamjua Mtaje, kama unamjua Mtaje, avipe kichwa akisifie.
Yes, that is the one and only Harmonize. He also goes for the name Konde Boy. I think that is the particular part of Tanzania that he comes from. It's known as Konde, if I'm not mistaken. And what you get to realize is that there has been a whole lot of things going on with Tanzania in the last few weeks, because they recently had an election. And what had happened prior to the election is that the opposition leader, his name is Atindi Lusu, he was actually arrested and charged with state terrorism. And before that, there was efforts to try and quiet, or to try and muffle the opposition. So what did happen is that the party, which is known as Chama cha Mapinduzi, or the CCM party, this is the party of the founder, or the founding father of Tanzania, Julius Nyerere. It has been in power, and therefore there isn't much of a democratic space in Tanzania. If we did have a party and you did get to vie for a post without being part of the CCM party, it means that you have almost your chances of getting to succeed are very, very little. So what did happen is that there was an election, and many people felt that there wasn't any opposition, and therefore they were wondering, why do we need to go to vote while it is only one figure, and this is a woman, the incumbent president. She's known as Samia Suluhu. So Samia Suluhu had actually tried, and there was a threat to the opposition. And therefore, when people were going to vote, they felt that they had no other option apart from Samia. And when the election results were announced, she had won about 90% of the votes, having gotten about 31 million voters voting for her. In real sense, there was a whole lot of questions regarding these particular elections, simply because people felt that in 2 days, you're not able to clear counting 31 million votes. And also in the previous elections, the turnout was 17 million voters, and therefore, in an election which is which people didn't turn out, you expect, if the previous election had 17 million voters, you would expect perhaps that these current the recent election would have about maybe say 15 million voters. But to the awe of many Tanzanians, they found out that now they are told that the elections had 31 million voters, which is almost double the previous one, and people did not turn out for this particular one. And there were so many questions and irregularities regarding that particular election that was done about 3 weeks ago. And therefore, they felt that there wasn't any kind of transparency in the whole process or fairness in the whole process. And therefore, people took to the streets in Tanzania, and there were riots. There was a whole lot of demonstrations going on by the youth. But there was a state of emergency that was introduced in this particular country. I think from 6 p.m., there was a curfew from 6 p.m., and you wouldn't be outside after 6 p.m. And also the internet was shut down. So you didn't have any dissenting voice from what was being said by the Electoral Commission in that particular country. And so many people felt that there was a whole lot of there were people. The whole election was a sham. The whole electoral process was a sham. But nonetheless, let me know how you feel about that particular election in Tanzania. I would love to know, what is your honest opinion, and have you followed closely, or even from afar? You might even be following from afar. What are your honest thoughts about the elections that just took place in Tanzania? For me personally, I think it's a sham. There is no way people will shy away from participating in an election, and then you have more voters being announced to have participated than the previous election. From 17 million to 30 million, you have a 13 extra million on top of voters, while as this election, many people did not have to turn up to the polling stations. There was actually a journalist who was reporting that when they actually turned up to the polling station, they did not find anyone actually at the polling station. It was about 7 a.m. in the morning, and they wouldn't find anyone. So therefore, if you're telling us that there were 30 million voters or 30 to 31 million voters, then we beg to ask a question: are these real numbers, and how can these numbers also be proven? How can these particular numbers be proven in a situation where we do not know if this is actually credible? So let me know what you feel about that particular election. I would love to know. What is your honest opinion? What is your honest opinion regarding that election in Tanzania? I would really love to know from that. And also, in case you would love to join us, in case you'd like to have a different session, we are always here on Saturdays and Sundays. And apart from that, I was saying that maybe perhaps your schedule does not allow you to join us on the weekends. You can also reach out to us, blackwoodfireafrica@gmail.com, and maybe perhaps you can plan a different schedule for anyone that would feel they really love to learn Swahili, but they are not able to join us on Saturdays and Sundays when we are conducting these particular classes. So yes, I did say that you can ask a question at any point. You can interject. You can ask a question at any point. I did say the question is Swahili. Swahili in Swahili. SWALI. That is a Swahili. And for me giving you an answer we call that jibu. And jibu happens to be a noun and a verb at the same time, because jibu, if you say kujibu, kujibu means to answer. But if you're talking about kuuliza swali, that simply means to ask a question. It simply means to ask a question. So yes, at this particular point, we want to do a bit of a recap from what we learned last week, and we did say that we do have different noun classes in Swahili. And for the noun classes, we call them ngeli za nomino. Ngeli za nomino. For example, if we're talking about the first noun class, the very first noun class, we call that the wa class of nouns. The wa class of nouns. For example, if you're talking about a person, you would say, for example, mkulima hodari amefika nyumbani. Mkulima is a farmer, and therefore mkulima, let me just put it down. Mkulima starts with the syllable the consonant and that is in its singular form. But if you're talking about many farmers, you would say wakulima. So wakulima, that means farmers or a group of farmers. And for instance, if you're talking about wakulima wako na hasira mingi, that means that the farmers are very angry. Maybe something did happen. Maybe the fertilizer wasn't delivered to their to the stores, and therefore they felt that they were not able to access fertilizers, and therefore they are pretty mad. So that is the wa class of noun. For any noun, the name of a thing or a person that starts with a consonant which is a English letter M in its singular form, but in its plural form, it starts with the syllable wa. So you would say mkulima, wakulima. If you're talking about maybe perhaps another different kind of career or job, not really a career about job, but maybe perhaps you're talking about teacher. A teacher, you would say mwalimu. Mwalimu is for teacher. If you're talking about many teachers, you would say walimu. Walimu is for many teachers. And therefore, the word teacher and teachers, that falls, the noun teacher and teachers, it falls in the wa class of nouns. So therefore, I would maybe perhaps say, give another different example. For a learner or a student, you can say mwanafunzi. Mwanafunzi is one student, but if you're talking about many students, you would say wanafunzi. So it's very important that we understand that noun class, because it helps us understand the word in its singular and also in its plural form. If you're talking about people, you would say most of the names of people the names of people and living things, they do fall in that particular wa class of noun. But for the second class of nouns that we learned, that is a key V class of nouns, we learned that the key V class of nouns, they do mostly constitute of inanimate objects. And we're talking about things like a stick, a spoon, a book. I did say the word kitabu. Kitabu simply means a book. Kitabu simply means a book. But if you're talking about many books, you would say vitabu. Vitabu is for many books. And therefore, that particular noun falls in the key V class of nouns. The key V, the K-I-V-I class of nouns, because it is made up of words that start with the syllable ki in its singular and the syllable V in its plural form. For example, kijiko. Kijiko, if you're eating your food, you would say kijiko. Kijiko is for a spoon, one spoon. But if you're talking about many spoons, you would say vijiko. So kijiko is for spoon, and vijiko, that is for spoons. And therefore, vijiko, you might say vijiko safi. It means like you need clean spoons. But that now also falls in the key V class of nouns. Another example I gave earlier was kalamu. Sorry, not kalamu. Yeah, that was kalamu was giving an example for the word, trying to give an example of the words and how they do have alternating vowel sounds. Sorry, alternating syllables with alternating vowel sounds. That is what Swahili is. But yes, there are people that have asked, what makes Swahili unique? What makes Swahili unique? What makes Swahili unique for me, I would say that Swahili is a simple language to learn. And I would also tell you that Swahili has the influence of the Arabic language. And therefore, this influence of the Arabic language, it is found in what we call the special class of consonants. The special class of consonants in Swahili, these are the DH, these are the CH, these are the NZ with an apostrophe, these are the NY, these are the TH, and these are also the SH. These are some of the examples of what we call the special class of consonants. But we have to realize the two main important things to realize is that Swahili has 5 vowels: the A, E, O, U. Those are the 5 vowels. You also have to realize that Swahili has the consonants, and the consonants in Swahili, they constitute all the letters of the English alphabet except for the 5 vowels, and also except for X and Q. We do not have the letters X and Q in Swahili, and therefore what makes up the consonants in Swahili is all the letters of the English alphabet apart from the 5 vowels, and also apart from the X and Q. So X and Q omitted. X and Q, these are not part of Swahili, and X and Q are not part of the Swahili consonants. And the A, E, O, U, A, E, O, U, these are the vowels, and the vowels also do not constitute the consonants. So there's a difference between the consonants and the vowels. So, but once you now internalize and know that the vowels, Swahili is a language made up of syllables with alternating vowel sounds, then you are in a much better place and you're much closer to understanding Swahili as a language it is. It is very, very easy, very, very easy to understand. If you practice, I always do say that practice makes perfect. And the more you practice Swahili, the more you become, the more it becomes ingrained in your mind. So I would say one of the steps that you need to take in terms of learning Swahili is having a friend, a colleague, a relative that can help you on your journey in terms of understanding this language. Because language is a tool for communication, and you're communicating with someone else. You're communicating with people. You're not communicating with yourself. You're communicating with other people. You might be communicating with your colleagues at work. You might be communicating with your relatives. You might be communicating with friends that you just met in a new place. Maybe perhaps you took a trip to Tanzania, and you're just getting to make new friends. So therefore, this language will be very, very important for you when it comes to doing business, and not just conducting business, but even sorting out your affairs in terms of this particular new place that you want to explore. If you go to Zanzibar, which is an island, Zanzibar is actually a beautiful place, and I think there are many opportunities to explore, even real estate in Zanzibar. I'm trying to remember the name of this particular company. There's a company that has done a whole lot of wonderful work in Zanzibar when it comes to real estate, and anyone who maybe perhaps would like to explore and invest in real estate in Zanzibar. If I remember that name, I'll actually share it with you. But what I'm trying to say is, if you're well versed in Swahili, then even conducting business in a place such as Zanzibar would be much easier for you. Conducting business in a place such as Tanzania itself, or even other East African coastal towns, for example, Malindi, Mombasa, Kilifi, all those particular places, you'll be able to conduct your business with Swahili, and it's very, very easy for you to understand. On the African continent, we have about 1,500 languages that are spoken on the continent. And instead of having all this confusion, I do embrace and I do appreciate the fact that cultural diversity is a strong point. But also, it can also bring about confusion, because you're talking about sometimes you're traveling, you're doing business, but you really cannot it creates that language barrier because you're not able to communicate. But if people were to choose, let's simplify things, let's make matters even easier for everyone. I think we would get to a level where we want to simply just embrace one African language. That does not mean that we diminish the value for the other languages. What it means is that we just want to fast track African unity. And if you also do share the same sentiments, it means that it is an important thing that we now awaken that African consciousness where we want to unify and we want to get ahead together and faster. Because I would believe that when you're able to communicate and when you're able to connect with your roots, then that means that you're able to bridge a gap, and the gap that you're bridging is just a gap that would help you connect much better with people. You're connecting for business, you're connecting for maybe perhaps for travel and in hospitality matters, and maybe perhaps you're traveling for other reasons. But whatsoever other reasons, it means that you have a language of just getting things done. In Tanzania, Swahili is the official language, and it's also the national language. And therefore, it does not mean that we do not have any other languages in Tanzania. In countries such as Tanzania, I bet we have more than 20 languages. If you come to Kenya, there are about 47 languages. If you go to Ethiopia, which is the border as Kenya, it has about 81 different languages. If you go to places such as Cameroon, you will find about 150 languages in Cameroon. If you go to Nigeria, things are even worse because in Nigeria, it's a big country with about 200 million people, but they also do have so many languages. It's about 200 different languages in Nigeria. You have the Igbo, you have the Yoruba, you have the Fulani, there are so many of them. But I would wish that even Nigerians decided, let's do this. Let's just focus on uniting our people and not just rely on the language of the oppressor. Let's rely on an African language. Let's do this on our own terms. Unite on our own terms. Because the neighboring country, which is Cameroon, we have had divisions and fights between the Anglophones and the Francophones simply because they are speaking in different languages. We have seen the English-speaking part of Cameroon fighting with the French-speaking part of Cameroon. So you do find that the thing is, we have been divided, and these are on the basis of what the colonizer wanted, because the colonizer wanted to work on divide and conquer, where you're divided along tribal lines, so you're divided along the languages that you speak. So you do have like 200 languages, and apart from that, now we do have the languages of the colonizers also on there, like French and the English. It becomes quite difficult for people to unite. But nonetheless, what we do hope is that we can unite behind one language, and we would hope that people can actually embrace that, and maybe hope that we can get somewhere as a people. Thank you so much for everyone that has joined us on this particular stream. And my lighting is not as great, but nonetheless, we are proud of the melanin, and we do continue with our class. We shall take a short break. We shall enjoy one particular song, and I'm taking you back to Tanzania because in Tanzania, we do have wonderful music in Tanzania. No, let me not take you to Tanzania. Let me just take you to Kenya. And this is a song by Angerai. Let me know what you feel about this particular song. You love it? If it's jamming, or if it's not.
I know, I feel away. I wanna say,
Yes, that is a jam by the one and only Njerai. It's known as a OTD, on the daily. And I think it's jamming. For me, personally, I think it's jamming. She has a couple of other songs that are jamming as well. You can check her out on her Spotify. And this song, I think it came out also around the same time. Another artist came out. His name was, is it Mutoria? Let me just see. Is it Mutoria? There's actually another artist. Let me see. Is it Mutoria? Mutoria. Yes, it came out around the same time with this other artist. His name is Mutoria. And Mutoria's jam actually did much better. Mutoria's jam did much better compared to Jarai's song. Mutoria's song was known as a better, and for those that love to jam to some African, East African vibes, I would actually say that that is also another song that you can check out and look out for. And yes, and we are back, and I was saying, sorry about that, the laptop wasn't connected to the power, but nonetheless, apologies for that. But I do hope that you are happy to have joined us on this particular show. So I did say, in case you would like to get a copy of our Swahili notes, in case you're interested in getting a copy of our Swahili notes, you can simply write to me, and I will be more than glad to share the same with you through the email blackhotfireafrica@gmail.com, blackhotfireafrica@gmail.com, and you'd get a copy of these particular notes that we are using to learn Swahili. So before we continue, let me just play as a jam. This is by Mutoria. Let me know what you think. Mutoria is also jamming, and then we shall continue with our class for today.
It's been a really long time, tangu nikuvutie. I only called today, but I think about you every day. Najua nilichoma, yeah. I take the blame. Juu tangu iyo day, I've never been the same. Find me at B&D of late kila weekendi. Nimekosana na wengi, lakini sisi I'm regretting. I know you know me well, usikate juu niko mlevi. Please don't hang up on me, niache niseme ukweli. I've been upset cause no one loves me better. Hata wanipende aje, na wapenda shingo pande. I know you're upset cause no one loves you better. Hata wakupende aje, utahepa someday. I'm not stalking you, niliona umepost pictures are cost. Your new man doing the most. You seem happy, you seem so happy. Called to let you know I'm taken, but available for you. Bestie, we nirudishie phone. Cause you don't understand what the hell is going on. Kilimani reminds me I'm alone. Oh.
Yes, that is a jam by Mutoria, and it's known as Beta. And I would actually say that Kenya has so many talents, and they are all actually doing a whole lot of wonderful job right there. So as I did say, last week we were learning about noun classes in Swahili. Sorry about that. Noun classes in Swahili. And we did give many examples of those nouns in Swahili. And the thing is, we do have also what we call the sentence structure in Swahili, which is the SVO, the subject, the verb, the object. That is the most definite Swahili structure for sounds. Sorry, for sentence. Apart from that, as we were trying to finish up, we did have other classes of nouns: the mmi class of noun, the zima class of noun, the uu class of noun, the kuku class of noun, and others. And we also did have the papa classes of noun and also the mumu classes of noun. So if you look into that, you will find all of those to be examples. Those to be examples of the different noun classes that we do have in Swahili. Apart from that, we do have the pronouns. We do have the pronouns in Swahili. And pronouns, of course, this is a word that can function as a noun, a noun phrase by itself, and that refers to either the participants in the discourse, for example, I, you, or to someone or something mentioned elsewhere in the discourse, for example, she, it, she, he, it, this. There's something that I happened to realize with the Swahili, and I was making note of that here in our previous classes, that in Swahili, when it comes to pronouns, the he and she is the same thing. That is what happens with the pronouns in Swahili. For example, if I would say she came home late. She came home late. What would be the way we would actually translate that would be alikuja nyumbani amechelewa. Alikuja nyumbani amechelewa. But if you're talking about he came home late, that would be alikuja nyumbani amechelewa. You already know whether I'm talking about a he or whether I'm talking about a she, unless I say specifically yule kijana, that would be that boy or that gentleman came home late. Yule kijana alikuja nyumbani amechelewa. That is the only way you would know. For whatever reason, I'm not sure, but there is not a whole lot of specificity, if I might call that, when it comes to pronouns in Swahili. But nonetheless, we continue learning. We would say, even talking about I, myself, we do say mimi in Swahili. If you're talking about the second person as singular, we do say sisi in Swahili. If you're talking about the he, we do say yeye. If you're talking about something like it, we do say ile. If you're talking about they, we do say simply do say wale or wow, and that is how we do pronounce that. If it's she, we do say yeah. If it's him, we do say yeah still, and therefore sometimes there might be a bit of confusion, but that is not to worry you. That is simply the way things. There's a bit of a hit right there, but nonetheless, worry not. We are still continuing with this particular segment. Remember, I was telling us about what we call the different pronouns in Swahili. The pronoun itself, the name for the pronoun is known as vijina, or you can call the pronoun viwakilishi. Viwakilishi simply means representative. Representative because they represent an idea. Sorry, they represent the noun itself, and therefore, if you're talking about a pronoun, you can simply just use it in the place of a noun. You can simply just use it in the place of a noun, and therefore, that is why we call it the wakilishi. Wakilisha simply means to represent. Wakilisha, it means to represent, and therefore, if you did say the wakilishi or vijina, this is what we do refer to as the pronouns, and they are not difficult. They are very easy to actually understand, and you can actually just So those are some of the examples that I was sharing with you, and I'm talking about the pronoun, which is representative of the noun in any kind of a situation or any kind of a point there. So let me see, there's a bit of a hit right there. But nonetheless, so I was just saying that when it comes to the pronouns for he and she in Swahili, they are not that outlined. You would say yeye, and yeye would actually mean a he or a she, which is, I don't know for whatever reason, but anyhow, I would assume it was for the reason that the man and a woman are considered to be equal. That is just my opinion, but nonetheless, I might be wrong. So from there, we might go on to getting into what we call these are the verbs, and the verbs are doing what? Verbs are used to express an action. For example, you might say I swim, or a state of being I am. The present tense in Swahili conveys a situation or even in the present time. For example, you might be talking about kula. Kula is a verb. Kula is a verb which simply means to eat. Kula, K-U-L-A, to eat. So if I did say kula chakula, that simply means eat food. If I did say kunywa maji, kunywa is a verb for drinking. It's an action verb. It's an action word. And therefore, you would say kunywa maji, and kunywa maji simply is understood to be drink water. If I did say kuja hapa, kuja is the verb for come. And if I did say kuja hapa, it means I'm saying come here. Because hapa, H-A-P-A, hapa simply means here. Kuja hapa, kuja hapa. And if I did say enda, enda means to go. Enda means to go. And if I did say endelea, it means to go on or continue. If I did say, for example, pika, P-I-K-A, pika, pika would simply mean to cook, So therefore, if I did say pika chakula kitamu, that would be mean cook some sweet food. If I did say keti, K-E, these are some examples of verbs, popular verbs in Swahili. Keti simply means to sit. So if I did say keti chini, that would mean sit down. That would simply mean sit down. If I did talk about another maybe example of maybe perhaps tembea. Tembea means to walk. Tembea means to walk. It also means to visit. And therefore, if I did say tembea haraka, haraka is simply just an adjective. It means fast. So if I did say tembea haraka, that would be walk fast. If I did say tembea pole simply means slow, very slow. If I did say pole, it means slow. But if I did say, for example, andika, we did learn that andika simply means to write. And also closely related to andika is soma. Soma means to read. Soma, S-O-M-A, it means to read. Soma simply means to read. And that is the way it is. If you're talking about maybe perhaps uliza, like I was saying earlier, uliza simply means to ask. If someone has a question, they can simply ask, and that is uliza. If someone wants to answer, they can simply jibu, which means to answer. And if you're talking about the state of maybe perhaps being, and for example, being happy and laughing, to laugh would be cheka. That would be to laugh. Cheka means to laugh. But if you say to laugh, that would be kucheka. Because to do or to do in Swahili translates to ku, K-U, ku. So if you say kucheka, that would be to laugh. To cry in Swahili we do say lia, L-I-A. We do say lia, L-I-A. So if we do say to cry, we would say kulia, kulia. That would be to cry. Kulia, that would be to cry. to cry. If you're talking about maybe perhaps to talk or to speak, to talk, ongea, we do say ongea means talk. But if you're talking about to do, to talk, you would say ku ongea. That means to talk, kuongea, kuongea. Tembea means to walk, but if you say kutembea, it means to walk. So if we do use the syllable ku as a prefix for this root, the root of the verb, then it means that you're saying to do that. For example, kunywa, that will be to drink. If you talk about lala, lala is a verb for sleep. Lala is a verb for sleep. Lala is a verb for sleep. If I did say kulala, it means to sleep. Lala, it means to sleep. It means to sleep. If you're talking about waking up, if you're talking about maybe perhaps waking up, and you wanted to say to wake up is amka. Amka is to wake. But if you're talking about to wake up, you would say ku. You would say ku amka, kuamka, which means to wake. To wake. And those are some of examples of how the verb is expressed in Swahili. You can express the verb in that particular regard in Swahili, and it's not even difficult. You can feel free to ask any question at that particular point. Kindly ask. You can ask a question. Tafadhali uliza swali, and I will be simply more than glad to answer your question. Nina furaha, it means I am happy. Nina furaha simply means I am happy. If you say nina huzuni, it means I am sad. But nonetheless, if you're talking about niko salama simply means I am okay. If you're talking about being well, niko salama, it means I am okay. If you're talking about ninaenda nyumbani, that will be simply just I am going home. I am going home. Ninaenda nyumbani. If you're talking about nitakula chakula, kula simply means to eat. So you say nitakula chakula, then that would be if you say kukula, it means to eat. Kukula, it means to eat. To eat. And those are just a few examples. They are just really just a few examples of verbs in Swahili. So kindly, if you have any question, please feel free to ask. Do you have any question? Kama uko na swali, tafadhali uliza. Kama uko na swali, tafadhali uliza. If you have a question, please ask. If not, we shall continue with this particular forum the next time. So remember to join us. Remember to keep it interactive, and you can write to us an email, and I will be more than glad to simply just respond and share the notes with you as well. You can write to us. Once again, it's blackwatfireafrica@gmail.com, and I'll be more than happy to have you. Remember to visit the official network website. It's www.blackwatfirenetwork.com. Once you are on there, please make sure to sign up on the network website, and it will be I will be more than glad to have you also join the community on there, because it's a beautiful community of like-minded individuals who are passionate about being Black, and also passionate about fostering African unity and fostering African progress for we as a Black people globally, not just the African people, but we as a Black people globally. Sometimes people want to put themselves in boxes. Oh, I'm African, I'm not Black, I'm Black, I'm not African. All these things, but nonetheless, we are here, and this is the Black Fire Network, and we want to push forward faster and foster African unity and the unity of our people towards getting back to a place of a global prominence as a Black people globally. Till next time, much peace and love. I want to say kwaheri. Kwaheri simply means goodbye, and I do hope that you get yourself an enjoyable rest of your weekend. Till next time, much peace and love. Goodbye.